Up button for you, boy. Tonight's episode, we're going to talk about Knicks news. The Knicks have signed GM Scott Perry to a 2-year extension. So Ninja P returns, and not really surprising to anybody. It was also noted earlier in the season that the Knicks were planning to bring him back. But today they make it official. Today they have signed GM Scott Perry to a 2-year extension. How do we feel about it? Give me a call, 657-383-1509. Knicks Fan TV Discord is also up and running, so let me know what you guys think about it. What do I think about it? I think it's a mixed bag. My thoughts are indifferent. I'm not against it. I'm not necessarily for it. I'm indifferent. I think when Perry was brought in here in 2017, he came in from the Kings. Uh, Highly touted for a guy that had a superb reputation around the league. He was well connected. A guy who was known to be disciplined in terms of his philosophy, in terms of team building, and a guy that was well connected. And so I thought it was a good pickup by the Knicks at that time. Obviously, we were always in chaos, so having somebody like Perry to come in and set the table, I thought was a good move. And it was a mixed bag since he's gotten here. I mean, when he got here, we still had Hornacek as the coach. They would trade Carmelo, first order of business. They trade Carmelo to the Thunder, get back Enes Kanter, Doug McDermott, Doug McBuckets, and a second-round pick. That second-round pick we'll talk about in a second. They traded for Emmanuel Mudiay. The two would end up being the tank commander. All right, so that wasn't a great move. But look, the Mudiay deal, I mean, it was a low-risk move. Getting rid of McBuckets, who I thought underperformed here during his time with the Knicks. Now they're talking about possibly signing him this offseason after a good season with the Pacers. But, the Mudiay deal, I thought it was a low-risk move. We were looking for a solid option at the point guard. They were trying to reclaim his career, resurrect his career, rather. And, they made a low-risk move. But ultimately, Mudiay was a tank commander, as we all know. And that would end up getting us RJ. Draft. No, Fizdale. They bring in Fizdale. I thought they should have went with Budenholzer. He's now walking down Milwaukee in the championship parade today. World championship head coach. Had a great season with the Hawks, great tenure with the Hawks. And they ended up passing on him and going with Fizdale. We all know how that turned out. Now, again, with these moves, how much is it on Perry? How much is it on Mills, Dolan, the whole regime? It's hard to really pinpoint. So that's why I say for me it's a mixed bag, and I'm very indifferent because it's hard without really being in the room and in the war room in terms of whose influence reigns supreme when these decisions are made. It's hard to really put it on one guy or the other, but we do that. The record is what it is. The transactions are what they are. He's part of it. You're certainly responsible for whatever goes down. And so they didn't go Budenholzer. They went Fizdale. That was a disaster. We know that. We go to the draft. Draft blunder in his first tenure. He goes with Knox with the 8th pick. We all know there were better options available. For some reason, they were blown away by Knox's workouts. Mikal Bridges was the safest pick to me. You had Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who should have been an option, knowing that this regime was not high on Frank as a future point guard. That was evident even when they brought Mudiay in here. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander was an option. And then, of course, you have Michael Porter Jr., who was also an option, who many GMs had passed on in that draft, including Jerry West, the logo, passed on him twice. So there was a lot of question marks there in terms of Michael Porter Jr., but Mikal Bridges was definitely the pick in my book. So the first round was a knock, but then that second round pick, who they acquired in the Melo trade, turned out to be the Block Ness monster, Mitchell Robinson. Fan favorite, the Block Ness monster, which was a good deal. You had Isozo, who got picked up as an undrafted free agent. Had a great rookie season. Almost hit the 50-40-90 club. They would end up trading him. Or I think Isozo got released. So, he had a good rookie season for us. Came in as an undrafted free agent, but it just didn't work out. The KP trade, complete disaster. How much is that on Perry, Mills, Dolan? I thought the whole thing was botched. And I thought they could have gotten more for KP in return for KP. I thought that the whole gamble that they took, I called it the Doyle Brunson, right? They went in with a 10-2 hand, gambling that they were going to get these two max contracts, and they got nothing. I thought it was a terrible mistake. Can't take that back. But again, is that on Mills? How much is that on Perry, Dolan? It's hard to say, but Perry was a part of that disaster. But ultimately, they brought in Julius. Disastrous season last season. Came back strong this year. Led the team to the playoffs. 4th seed in the East. They would end up drafting RJ. Number 3 pick in the draft. In tandem with Julius. Leads his team to his first playoff berth in 8 years. So once Mills is gone, you have that in-between time where Perry's manning the ship solo dolo before Leon gets here. And what does he do? He takes Marcus Morris, a player who was acquired on a 1-year balloon contract, flips him, which he should have done, to the Clippers. They get back Mo Harkless in exchange, plus a first-round pick and 2 2s. They could have almost gotten Terrence Mann in that deal, which would have been even icing on the cake, but they didn't get that. Nevertheless, that first-round pick turned into IQ Emmanuel Quickley, who should have a solid place in the rotation for years to come. So that's a hit. I thought the Morris trade was a hit. A lot of the beat would say that Perry was a big Peyton advocate. We all know how that turned out. And hopefully we won't have to see that happen again. Certainly a blunder in terms of Elfrid Payton. 3 losing seasons. And again, once Leon gets here, they turn it around. They make the right moves and turn it around. They had Bullock, who was a holdover. Bullock had a very prominent role in getting this team to the playoffs. Solid piece in the starting lineup. As I said, Julius, his turnaround, RJ, his contributions. They get Burks in here. Obviously, we know Rose was primarily Thibodeau's influence and West and Leon Rose, but Perry's certainly part of that. So again, it's a mixed bag, and it's very hard to pinpoint what exactly was his influence. I think the Moutier trade, certainly he had a role in that. The Peyton thing. And we know for sure that the Morris trade was his responsibility. We know for sure Morris trade was his responsibility. It was the right move. Obviously, the team was going nowhere. Morris was the best player on the team last year. And he flips him, able to get quickly with the number 25 pick. So, here we are. I think on the positive side, I'm a fan of continuity and stability. And so far, obviously, with the success this team had this season, I like the fact that they're bringing Perry back. Clearly, Leon Rose and Worldwide West and these guys see value in keeping him as the GM. It was first thought that he was going to be retained because, remember, they had extended him for 1 year this year, and it seemed like it was sort of like a lame duck situation as he helped them, part of the transition team. Kind of help them get acclimated to everything. Obviously, Leon Rose being in this position for the first time, steering through uncharted waters. Now they keep him for a 2-year deal, so clearly there's chemistry there. They like how he works. They like how he thinks. We saw them all together at the Combine. Leon, West, Thibodeau, Perry. So clearly there's some harmony there in the front office, at least you may think. And that's evident in terms of them signing him to a 2-year extension. So, as I said, for the sake of continuity, for the sake of stability for this franchise, I'm okay with it. In terms of his resume, what was his responsibility, what wasn't, it was a mixed bag. Again, the Knox pick was a mistake. No disrespect to Kev, that's my guy. But I say that to say no GM is batted 1,000 in any sport. And again, another positive, they haven't mortgaged the future since they've been here, despite whiffing on a lot of in a lot of ways. The salary cap is intact. We have a lot of draft assets to build with in the future. Flexibility. That's all you can ask for when you're building in sports. There's no guarantees with that flexibility, but nevertheless, having that flexibility is a good thing, and that certainly, happened under Perry's watch or during his tenure. So I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it. Well, salute to everybody in the chat once again. Hit that thumbs up button for you, boy. How you guys feeling about it? Call me up 657-383-1509 or hit me up on the Knicks Fan TV Discord. Let me know what you guys are thinking. Let's see how we feeling. Junior Caroma says it was a mistake. Junior, what do you mean, man? Call me up, Junior. Let me know what you're thinking, man. Junior says it was a mistake. I don't think it was a mistake, man. I don't think it was a mistake. All right, let's go to the phone and see what the people got to think. Jay from East New York. Jay, how you feeling, man?
I'm good, CP. How you doing, brother?
Good, man. Good.
Well, honestly, I think that this is a good move. This just means that, we entrenched. That means that we got a plan going forward. Everybody is coming back. As far as the front office is concerned, this year we get an A++. We made the playoffs. We were full seed. We had guys stepping up out of the woodwork, like the free agent signings. Everything was an A++ thing. So yeah. I'm glad that the front office is still intact. I just feel like let's just roll with it. You know what I'm saying? They only signed them for 2 more years. 2023, that's a big free agency year, So hopefully, we play our cards right and we continue to build on what we've been doing with the youth movement, keeping our draft picks, making smart, frugal moves, not just going for the big cat salary name, whatever you want to call it, the big name, just wasting money. We've been doing a lot of good things, and honestly, I have to give Scott Perry some of that credit. You know what I'm saying? So I'm looking forward to the draft. I'm looking forward to the off season. Go Knicks, man. We entrenched, and this just tells me we got our game plan and everybody ready and locked in.
Yeah, same here, bro. Simple and plain. And thanks for the call, Jay. Thanks for calling in. Always appreciate it. Yeah,
appreciate
same here, man. It just seems to me, it tells me that they have their ducks in a row. They have their plan. They have their philosophy. Whether it works or not, time will tell. But they're keeping things flexible. Obviously, they have a game plan in tow. They have their targets. They have their targets that they want at a certain price. Ultimately, they're going to have to make some moves. We know that. Ultimately, they're going to have to get some true talent in here. Whether that comes this offseason, I'm not so sure how much they spend. But certainly next offseason, I think they'll be ready to go. I think this offseason is going to be important to see what they do with the draft. 4 draft picks. How many picks do they come out of the draft with? We had an excellent show last night. Shout out my guy Derek Murray, basketballnews.com. If you guys haven't caught that show, make sure you guys catch up on all of our draft Q&As, man. We had some very, very expert analysis, excellent prospect breakdowns. I thought Derek was great. He gave us some key intel, man. He said the Knicks are very high on Isaiah Jackson out of Kentucky. The shot blocking big man out of Kentucky, which is very interesting. Obviously, with Mitchell Robinson already here, are they looking at Jackson as a potential insurance policy, as a replacement, as a complimentary piece? Coming off the bench, who knows? But according to him, Knicks want